I'm in an all-out war. That's the only way to describe it. I declared war last week, if you didn't hear, on the weeds in my backyard. And over the weekend, shit got real. For once on this podcast, I threw out a promise to all of you guys, and I fucking walked the walk. I followed through. You know, if I was a fart last week, now I'm a shit. Because I followed through, man. I fucking did it. I all out assaulted those weeds. Rained poison from the skies, aka my $10 pump from Bunnings. And there was some lows, there were some highs, and I run you through it step by step. So it's Saturday morning. All week I said, so on Thursday I think I said the weeds have 24 hours to kill themselves. That was my ultimatum. I go out Friday, no change. The weeds still there, holding their ground. And I'm like, all right, it's war you want then. So I was like, you know what? First thing, dawn on Saturday morning, the fucking war starts. Here's the problem with that. My sleeping schedule's fucked. I went to bed at 2:30 a.m. on Friday night, or Saturday morning, technically. So I woke up at 11. Damn, I'm 5 hours behind schedule. I would say already the weeds have got the advantage on me. They've got the fucking jump on me. They've been growing in that nice Saturday morning sun, a little bit of dew, moisture seeping into that mulch. It was not a great start to the war, and I fully admit that, and I take full responsibility. By the way, I don't want to be a colonel. I want to be a commander or maybe like a sergeant, whatever. Can someone tell me what the highest ranking officer is? I'm that. So it's like any morning. It's 11 a.m. I wake up. I go, fuck, I should get my life together. And then I walk to the kitchen and I get out my bowl. I'm like, you know what? I need a breakfast full of high fiber and maybe one that sponsors kids' triathlons. I had some Wheat Bix. 7 is how many I do. I was, at this point, pissing confidence all over these weeds, which, by the way, Keelan reckons I should do. He reckons I should urinate on the weeds once a day. He said he did it once and it killed weeds in his backyard. He said, I pissed on these same weeds every single day and it killed them. So that's one strategy, but I want this war to be over in the next couple of weeks. I want to get in, get out. Okay, I don't need this. Honestly, the amount of senseless violence that occurred over the weekend, I'm not proud of. I did things to those weeds that I never thought I'd do to any living thing. Now, the cheeky thing I did. Most people, right before they go out to war, would be like, I don't want to see the enemy. I just want to be alone, maybe write a letter to my loved ones, maybe take off the necklace, put it in a little box and go, give this to my grandson if it all goes badly. Not me, man. I opened the blinds in my kitchen looking out onto my backyard. I stared these weeds in the soul, not even in the face. I don't have faces. In the core root. I stared at their fucking roots while I ate Wheat Bix. And I knew they were thinking, oh shit, he's having 7. This guy's not mucking around. No, I'm not. I looked those. I didn't go on my phone. I didn't browse TikTok. Okay? I wasn't ticking the talks. I was staring at the roots going, are you ready to be pulled? Okay? Do you want to know what my dick feels like when Meg's not around? Because, bitch, you're going to get pulled a lot. You're going to be raw. Bleeding. Fuck, man. I was gonna, just pull these weeds so hard. It was gonna get sexual. Then something great happened. I loaded up. I went to the laundry and I was like, all right, time to lock and load. It was that cool scene in movies that like, except it was me going, Meg, do we have a funnel? Do we have a funnel? I can't get the poison. It's a bit of a small opening for me to get the weed killer into the pump thing. No, I don't think we have a funnel. Oh, okay, I'm going to have to use something else. So it wasn't as cool as the movies, but whatever. So I'm loading up. Couldn't find a funnel. Had to improvise. Got an old, like some cardboard that I found in the kitchen. sculpted into a little funnel, then poured the thing. Honestly, worked just as well as a funnel. I just got in a little tiny bit at the end, shoved it in, kind of created like a cone, like if you would at a cardboard, and then just started pouring, man. Now, the poison master, Adrian, he, on the email that he sent me with the full strategy guide that I was obviously basing my first attack off, he said, do it 3 times the recommended amount on the packet, 3 times the strength. Here's the thing. Just like my Wheat Bix consumption, I don't fuck around, okay? 3 times sounded strong. I think I went a little overboard. I reckon I did about 4 times the recommended. So I was just like, I'm going to rain hell on these weeds. I'm going to get the one up. You know what? I've woken up late. I need to improvise here. They've already had the whole morning of extra growing that they weren't originally going to have before they got poisoned. So I was like, I need to make up for where I've gone wrong. So I'm going to hit them harder. So I poured a little bit more in. Boom. The pump's ready. Then all of a sudden, more great news. I found an ally in my girlfriend, Meg. She went, oh, do you want me to come and join you? I can help kill the weeds. It's our backyard. And I was like, man, I was expecting to be in the trenches alone. And I was not. What happened next was 4 hours of just back and forth combat. We had the upper hand. Then the weeds did. We did. And it was just, by the end, I was exhausted. Few key things that happen. There's a few hiccups along the way. Not everything's going to go according to plan. That's life. That's war. Our first attack was remove all the mulch away from the weeds. Make them out in the open. Like, let's just, they're hiding right now. They think they're, that's the thing. You don't want your enemy in any war to have cover. So we just remove that. Boom. All of a sudden, our backyard is looking like no man's lands. We're in the fucking trenches, all right? And they're in the middle of nowhere. Boom. We're just pulling them out. Just popping them off. Going bang, bang, bang. They're just being slam dunked into this compost bin. And I can see that the other weeds all around the backyard are going, oh my God, we've had it too good for too long. Not anymore. It's like they didn't even see it coming. It's almost like they were just sitting there doing nothing like weeds do, like idiots. Then we realized that was just their first line of defense. We got all the surface weeds. What we discovered, I think, was probably what the soldiers discovered during the Vietnam War when they realized that was it the Viet Cong or whoever the enemy was, they were tunneling. They were going underground to do surprise attacks. It is hard when you are an above ground focused infantry to combat below ground things. We didn't have the tools, we didn't have the weaponry, the equipment. So I had to make a call. Meg's going, there's roots that are going deeper here. We don't have a shovel. I can't dig. We are being bested by these weeds at the moment. Okay, it was a great start. We cleared out their entire first ranks. All right, but then they've still got this whole fucking army beneath the surface. So I went, should we go to Bunnings? We have an ally down the road. Okay, do I make the call? Head to Bunnings. She went, it's time. So I went into Bunnings and went to the digging tools section. Obviously, I got the $10 shovel. I'm not made of money, okay? And we're doing this war on a budget. And it's more about the spirit in which we have as opposed to the, we're like one of these little countries who are trying to fight a war when I guess the resources aren't high, but they're more of a strategic country as opposed, like we're not the Americans of warfare. We're not just going to buy bloody $80 shovels to nuke these weeds with and just get it all over quickly. I bought, I would say, a good weed size shovel, which turned out to be a hidden gem in the end, perfect size. So I get back, all of a sudden Meg's had a breakthrough. She goes, Luke, I think I found the source of the weeds. She uncovers quite a big root and she reckons it's from a tree that used to be in the backyard because there's a big stump in our backyard. So she thinks she's found the cause. All of these weeds, we trace them back, are coming back to this one root, this big root. And I went, oh man, but there still must be another stump because that one's dead. So I'm like, you have found the cause, but I don't think that really old stump there, it's like very rotted, old, it's just not the cause. I was like, there's another stump. But we'd found the reason for the weeds. I was like, all right, let's start heating at the source. So Meg gets a digging, right? We are literally now diggers. So we're the closest we've ever been during this war from actually being Anzacs, right? We're digging, literally trenches in the backyard. And the sheer level of weeds that got destroyed that day, look, I'm not proud of, but as someone, here's the thing with war. It's not pretty, first off. And secondly, yes, I love life. I respect life. And I'm the type of guy where if I don't have to kill a spider in my house, if I can get it in a cup and put it outside, I'm a gentle giant kind of thing. I do not like killing living things. But I've also never been in a war before. So I'm pretty ashamed of my actions. I was taking out innocent mulch in the meantime. I was pulling weeds so vigorously and recklessly without a care in the world that I was getting chunks of mulch and just throwing them in the bin. Taking civilians with me, innocent bystanders. That mulch didn't do anything, but I guessed that's just like any war. There's going to be obviously an innocent bystander that gets caught in the crossfire, and that was the mulch in my backyard. I reckon I binned half a kilo of mulch that day in the first day of fighting. And that's one thing I'm going to stop trying to do. I'm going to definitely, when I pull out the weeds, all right, I'm going to shake the weeds a little bit and then put it in the thing. By the way, that's why I didn't do the beheading video. I still might do it. I just felt like I felt dirty that first day of fighting out there on Saturday. I promised a weed beheading video on my Instagram, and there was a talk between Meg and I of me yelling "Hello backyard" before I did it. And I just felt wrong about it because I was like, look, there's been too many losses today. Some of them caught in the crossfire, and we need to rethink our strategy here and what we're about morally before we come into this battle again. But it wasn't over. We're literally a quarter of the way through this. So strap in. All of a sudden, I notice a shift in the light. My first mistake has come back to bite me. We're losing light. The sun is rapidly going down. It's hit 5 p.m. We are not in daylight savings anymore. The clocks have been wound back. I realize at this point, I've got under 90 minutes of light left. Yet I think I have about 2.5 hours more stuff of work. So this is kind of where I stopped documenting it on the Memoirs of a White Guy Instagram for a while, and I just get to fucking work. I'm raking, I'm pulling, I'm raking, I'm pulling, I'm raking, I'm pulling, right? Not uncommon for a Saturday, right? All of a sudden, Meg leaves. She has to go just do some stuff with her mum. It was already booked in. I've lost my only ally in this fight. I've still got you guys supporting me back home, so I don't give up. I've got this new shovel that we've acquired from my allies at Bunnings Warehouse, where lowest prices are just the beginning, and I would recommend them for any weed warfare. They help me out a ton. I didn't want to talk about this, and I guess obviously my confidence that I had early in the day, looking at them while munching on my Weet Bix, kind of implying that I would eat those weeds for breakfast, that all went away because it was quite a warm day. I'd taken off my jumper. I'm now in a t-shirt. The sun had started to crack my lips. And when you have chapped lips in the middle of a weed war, you know what any soldier does is you stop, you retreat, and you reach for your pocket for some pawpaw ointment to smoothly put over and I guess just re-moisten up those lips. And such a simple thing, usually such a thing you take for granted, when that's taken away from you, particularly under these circumstances, it hits pretty hard. I didn't have my pawpaw in my pocket anymore. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. I checked my other pocket. I did what anyone does in a frantic moment. I went, And then I was like, oh, it must be in my hoodie. I ran to my hoodie so fast. Ran. Got to the big pocket of my hoodie. I went, where's my pawpaw? It's not in there. I called Meg. Meg, did you take my pawpaw? No, what are you talking about? I'm with my mum. No, go find it. I don't know, whatever. Stop being a child. Beep, 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 beep. That was her hanging up on me. That was the only time in this war where I felt properly alone. There were no amount of hero messages, no amount of support from you guys that could get me out of the rut that I was in. I had chapped lips and I still had 60 minutes of outdoor weed pulling to do, and I still hadn't got up to poisoning. So not only was I running out of time, but now I'm licking my lips for moisture, which is, I felt like a fucking savage. I was pulling weeds and going, that's a low point for anyone. But I thought about why I started this war, and I thought about, I guess, what the pawpaw would want me to do. The pawpaw's been there for me for probably the last 2 months. I've had this little tube, and he's seen those weeds grow. He's been with me for long enough to know that I guess I'm not perfect, and that I treat weeds growing in my backyard as a personal attack. And the point is, I knew that the pawpaw would want me to continue without him. And that's truly, I often brag about in this podcast, oh, it's so easy being straight and white, and I have never any problems. And that's a bit of a bit. Like, obviously everyone has problems and stuff, but it's also underlined with a bit of truth. And in that moment, I truly felt like what it was like being in the third world. I was like, I'm at war. I'm alone. I'm being attacked on all fronts. There's horror around me. There's life ending. You can hear the screams and the cries of the weeds. And now I have chapped lips. God damn, this is some fucking third world shit. And I made a hard decision. And it's what a lot of people have to do when they're faced with conflict. I had to leave the pawpaw behind. I just kept going, man. I was like, I'm not proud of this, but I just kept pulling, and it made me angrier, and it made me take more mulch, and all of a sudden I was taking more civilian casualties, and I was grabbing these weeds out, and I was grabbing handfuls of just weeds at this point. I wasn't even picking weeds, pulling anymore. I was scooping up handfuls and just putting it in the bin. I filled up half a fucking goddamn green compost bin with God knows what. I wasn't even looking. I was red with rage at this point, just like my pawpaw cream was red. I was that color red. Pawpaw red. And that alone was fucking the most intense half an hour of my life. I got so much done, kind of as a bit of payback, because what I thought had happened was the pawpaw I was like, it's fallen out in the garden, and I've raked over it. Because what I'm doing is I'm raking one bit, pulling weeds out, then raking it back over, raking one bit, pulling weeds out, and then I'm moving mulch around the backyard because it's quite a small backyard. And in the process of moving mulch, I've clearly lost my pawpaw, right? It's fallen out. I've let my dearest companion go, and I've raked over it. So all I'm thinking is the weeds have taken it. It's been taken prisoner by the reeds. It's now somewhere in there with the fucking roots, probably being tortured, probably being wrapped around like a snake, these fucking weeds. So I was like, it's been grown on top of. So I'm just paying out these weeds, man. I'm like, you fucking take my chapped lips and you fucking take one of my best friends away from me. I've had this pawpaw for 2 months, And I'm just raging, but I'm by myself, right? And I've still got Fall Out Boy playing in the background, One night is one more toy. And I'm just getting angrier, right? I'm like, fuck it. I'm moving battlegrounds. I move out to the front. I'm ripping weeds out the front, by the way. And that's one thing that I'm pretty safe to say is I reckon I've won on the Eastern Front, which is the front yard, okay? I have absolutely beaten every weed there. There's not a weed in sight. It's just mulch, man. It is a bunch of peaceful mulch sitting there. stopping the weeds from growing through. So I think I've definitely won. It's just a backyard situation that's happening. All of a sudden, I'm digging with my shovel, and I'm digging out deep roots, and I'm like, fucking, I'm gone. But again, I'm taking dirt with me at this stage. I don't give a fuck. And then I'm digging, I hear dun, dun, dun. And I'm like, oh, that's hard. Oh my God, is that my cock? I'm like, what? This is big and hard. It's long as well, girthy. What the fuck is this? I think it's my cock. I think someone buried my penis, right? And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. It's just the same size. I discover this huge stump underground, and I start digging. All of a sudden, I'm back to being 10, right? And I've got one of those dinosaur kits, and I'm a fucking archaeologist in my own bedroom, right? And I've got one of those little clay things, and I'm finding these bones, dude. And I'm like, oh my God. So I've turned into Indiana Jones at this point. I'm just digging for whatever the fuck, which is pretty much what Indiana Jones does, let's be honest. And then he shoots some Nazis in the meantime. There's a lot of similarities here, right? But I'm just taking out weeds instead of Nazis. And I'm digging. All of a sudden, 30 seconds later, I've got myself what we thought was a weed issue has now been confirmed as a stump issue. They were bloody, and also, if you watch my Instagram story, there was sparks flying. I didn't realize there was this spark that shot up, and then Meg gets home from whatever she was doing, and then I'm like, by the way, it's dark by this stage. The sun has fallen. It's me with a phone light and a dream. And Meg goes, you're a crazy person, okay? And I'm like, Meg, this war isn't going to fucking win itself if I'm inside, you know, in the comfort of my own home. I'm going to be out here on the front line, okay? And it was, again, I don't like the fact that this war is now affecting my relationship, I can't even speak, my English and my relationship. But I guess you've got to make some kind of decision where it's just like, what's the priority here? And at that moment, I'm pretty ashamed to say that my priority was removing the stump and killing it at the source. I come too far. I'd lost my paw. Meg confirmed once again that she didn't have it. And then Meg said, look, it's dark. It's pitch black. You can't see what you're doing. Call it in for the night. Oh, by the way, I've missed the most important part of the story, which is in between, I guess, the stage where I was pulling up, I decided to give the half of the garden that I have done an all-out spraying. I pick up the pump, and it takes me about 3 to 4 minutes to work out how to do it, because I'm a moron, and then I realized you have to create some suction by pumping it. I missed the massive pump that's on the top because I'm a fucking idiot. And I just start lighting it up. I feel like I've never felt more power in my life than walking through my backyard just spraying those weeds. And I was like, I'm humming under my breath, like, sugar, we're going down swinging with the balloon, because I'm still listening to Fall Out Boy, right? And actually, by this time, I think some 5 Seconds of Summer had come on the Spotify playlist that I was listening to. So I'm like, she looks so perfect standing there in my American Apparel underwear. Meanwhile, there's probably little weed families like, just crying. You know, there's little weed kids. I'm like, and I'm so down. And then all these little weeds are like, you know, they're just like singing along to Five Sauce, but also screaming because they're being fucking poisoned alive, the little motherfuckers. And it honestly made me realize that chemical warfare is cruel. You know, the first time I ever, obviously everyone realizes that, but it was just horrible, man. And I guess I went to bed that night and Meg was like, good job out there today. You really showed those weeds. And I was like, I feel like I did have a win that first day. By the way, we're up to the first day. This is the first day, okay? I feel like I'd had a win that first day, but at the same time, something didn't sit right with me. I didn't have my paw. My lips were a bit chapped. And I felt like I maybe shouldn't have taken out that much mulch. I might have to get new mulch now. There's a lot of dirt in our backyard now. And I was proud of myself, but yeah, I guess I was just sitting there thinking, look, I've never been in a weed war. This is a first for everything, but I'm really not proud of the way I acted today in some areas. At one point, I prioritized digging a stump over hanging out with my girlfriend. That wasn't good. But I guess, does anyone come out of a war feeling good about it? I don't think that's the point of warfare. The point is to go in to achieve what you originally decided to do. And that was fucking make it rain on those weeds. And I guess I achieved that. It was downpour. I felt bad for the weeds. Now, a few people going on Sunday. So the day passes, the night comes, all is silent. No shots were fired on Sunday. Mainly because there was a 24-hour ceasefire. Sorry, that was Monday. There was a 24-hour ceasefire because of the Ultimate Pump-Up Song competition. The main point is I didn't do anything Sunday, and I haven't actually... There's only one thing that's happened since. No other warfare has taken place. There's only one mission that's happened since the first day of warfare. Because, by the way, you're supposed to leave it out there for 3 to 4 days, and you see how it goes, and then 4 to 5 days later, you re-put another coat on and to get rid of the weeds. But it's only been 3 days so far. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. But I did go on one more mission. Saving Private Pawpaw. It was a search and rescue mission. I knew that the odds were against me, and I thought that I was crazy doing it. But I've received a few comments on my Instagram post because I did mention that obviously I took some heavy casualties, lost my pawpaw out there, and a few people suggested that I go on a search and rescue mission, and I thought they were crazy. I was like, no, but then I was like, you know what? Who am I? Already it was weighing on my conscience that I didn't handle myself out there properly and as maturely as I should have the first day. I let the weeds definitely get the better of me, but leave no man behind. So I went out there with a rake and combed the backyard for my pawpaw cream. I was out there and I had to, look, a few weeds got taken out in the process, okay? And I'm combing, I'm digging, man. I look for that pawpaw for upwards of 7 minutes. Now, when you've got a small backyard as I do, that's a pretty long look. Unfortunately, and regrettably, no pawpaw was found that day. That was on Sunday, sorry. And I didn't put this in my story because I didn't want, I guess, to show the dirty side of war. I only really wanted to show you guys the victory, and maybe that was wrong on my behalf. I should have shown you guys that sometimes it's not pretty out there and you lose people. And I lost the pawpaw that day. That was when I truly gave up. I was like, I've combed the backyard. I cannot see it everywhere, but I knew I had it out there. I was almost 100% certain. And then something crazy happened. While I was out in the garden, 7 minutes into combing, I'd given up. I was about to put the rake away. I received a phone call from my mum. And I picked it up and said, "Hey, Mum, how you going?" And we had a great son to mother chat. "How's it all going?" "Great, good." "Oh, I've talked about you, we're on the phone to Auntie." "Yep, great." She goes, "All right, well, I'll leave you to it." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just in a weed war." And she's like, "Oh, that sucks. Oh, by the way." Now, before I say this, I want to let you know that I did not think at this point there was anything that my mum could say to rectify this situation. There was nothing. There was even no, as loving as my mum is, she's the best. Okay, I love her so much. There's nothing in that situation that she could have said to make me feel better about losing Private Pawpaw out there on the battlefield that day. And then my mum said, and as she does, and this is why I love her, she said one of the most heartwarming things. My eyes almost wept. I wept with joy that day in my backyard. She said, "Oh, Luke, by the way, when we caught up for a walk on Saturday morning, this was what I did before the weed war, you left your pawpaw in the back of our car, remember?" Dude, I fucking was so excited. Here I am, combing my backyard on a search and rescue mission, not realizing that Private Paw was never in that battlefield all along. What a relief. Holy shit. Whew. And yeah, that's it. That's, I guess, the update of the Weeb War so far.
Somewhere